Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Bambi's Favorite Things. I'm very excited for this video today. Someone sent me a thank you card. Praise God, I put my P.O. box on my two different accounts because she wouldn't have been able to do that otherwise. But I am just going to say I'm so thankful and appreciative that you took the time to write me that thank you card and the note. And just so everybody knows, she sent me a thank you card for the video that I put out about the dragon fruit, because she was able to give it to her mother who was suffering from constipation, whose doctors had given her lots of different medications for the constipation, and this was the only thing that worked. But she also sent me a letter about herself. And so before I get into everything, just to give everybody a heads up, this might be a long one. And so Instagram only allows me to post a certain amount of time. So if I end up getting cut off, you can just go to my YouTube and see the whole thing. It's kind of long and involved. And what I did is I'm just going to call her Betty, even though that's not her name, so I don't give away her identity. And I decided that I'm going to answer her via different stories in my life or a friend's life, a story that relates to what she asked me and what she's talking about. And I'm hoping it might resonate with a whole lot of people out there. You know, on my Instagram, there's someone who follows me from Australia who happens to do the same job I did when I was working. There's someone from Switzerland, someone from Greece. What's the common denominator? We're all humans, and we all have to deal with stress and the ugliness of things that are going on right now. So this whole video is going to be about getting toxicity out of your life. Because in this gal's letter, in Betty's letter, she said she was eating really clean. She barely ever drank alcohol. She exercised, yet she was still having issues. But in the crux of her letter, she was also describing all kinds of stressful situations and things going on with different people in her life, all the different dynamics. And I'm here to tell you, I know firsthand, that will shut down your body. And it's the last piece of the puzzle. You know, I'm often asked, you know, what exactly do you eat? What products do you use on your face? Because your face looks so clear. And it's not just that. This was the last piece of the puzzle that I'm going to talk about today that really helped me get in a really good place. And so I'm sharing this information to answer Betty, but I hope it resonates with a lot of people out there, and you might just see yourself in some of these stories I'm going to tell you today. So right before I started this video, I just, said a little prayer. If you've been following me, I'm a big believer in the Lord. And I said, hey, anything else any information you want to give me, anything else? I'm not getting any download. I'm not hearing anything. And then I open up my phone to an app, and then this pops up. So I printed it up, and I'm going to read it to you. And it says, the body keeps score. Kidneys process fear. The thyroid processes self-criticism. The lungs process grief and sadness. The uterus processes trauma. The liver processes anger and frustration. The bladder processes stress and worry. The emotions we experience are deeply connected to our health. And I'm gonna start with a story of my own. And I'm going to keep referring to, I have some pages over here so I can kind of sort of go in order. But 2 years before I retired from my job, I was suffering from vertigo. And I'm one of those people who used to think vertigo wasn't even real. People would be calling in saying they had vertigo and they were dizzy and they couldn't make it to work until I got it. And of course, when you first get vertigo, you're convinced you got a brain tumor. And so, you go to the doctors and having them check, and everybody's saying everything's fine. And then I go to an ENT who tells me, oh, the vertigo, that's crystals in the ear. Yeah, right. And so after several of those sessions, where they turn your head which made everything worse, then they try to give you medication. None of that worked. Right before my youngest son went to college, I mean, he was really concerned. He actually went to this appointment with me, but they send me to a neurologist because this is the last doctor I'm going to go to because they can't figure out what's wrong with me. And he's giving me all these cognitive tests, and he's telling me in front of my son, I don't see anything wrong. I just don't see anything wrong with you. Then right before he's going to walk out the door, he says to me, are you under any stress? And of course, my first response is no, because, if you have a stressful job, or you're in a toxic relationship, or you're dealing with stresses like that, you become so accustomed to them, they don't seem out of the norm. But I said no. And my son from the corner says, that's not true. She has a horribly stressful job, and she works with some really ugly human beings. And the doctor just looked at me and he said, get rid of the stress, Bambi, and get rid of the vertigo. No lie, about 8 months after I retired, and I was so bad, I couldn't even roll over and turn my head on the pillow. I would get really dizzy. One day, it's just all gone. It's like my body knew you could relax, and it just went away. And then not that long ago, I read a John Hopkins report where that stress, especially like firefighters, cops, nurses, ER room personnel, they keep a lot of stress at the base of their skull. And they've been finding out and determining that causes a lot of vertigo, because unbeknownst to me, there's a lot of people in the profession I worked who had vertigo, but just not everybody shares it. I have my best friend, worked HR for a really big company. She was very good at her job, but it was extremely, extremely stressful. Could you imagine having to fire somebody who worked for the company for 15 years, didn't do anything wrong, but the company was downsizing? Maybe somebody that has 5 or 6 kids. It just wore on her soul. And to this day, she has autoimmune diseases. I'm here to tell you that stress will affect the body. I'm going to tell a story. It's my dad's wife's cousin's story, but it will relate to something Betty said to me. So I was told a story when I was in my 20s about this guy who he was made the executor of someone he wasn't related to, their estate. That person had passed away. And he was to give money, some paperwork, and some tangible things to each one of these people. He only gave it to 2 of the 3. And he didn't like the person that he was supposed to, the third person that he was supposed to be giving this stuff to. And so for 2 years, he didn't give it to them. The person didn't even know that they were named in the trust. And all kinds of bad things started happening to this man. He lost his job. He wrecked his car. It was completely totaled. His girlfriend left him. He started suffering from an illness. This went on for 2 years until he ends up having a conversation with I mean, he wasn't connecting the dots. You know when you're supposed to do the right thing. You know when you're supposed to be doing something. In this situation, that man knew he was supposed to be giving this person the stuff that this man had left to them, or if you owe somebody an apology, or if you're just supposed to be making something right. People call it intuition. I'm here to tell you that's the Holy Spirit. So you want to tell God no? Good luck. That's all I got to say is good luck. So his grandmother points out, you were supposed to do what? And it didn't dawn on you that that's why all this bad stuff was happening in your life? She said as soon as he went and did what he was supposed to do and gave this third person what this gentleman that passed away had left for them, everything changed. Everything changed in his life. His health improved, got a new girlfriend who he ended up marrying. Everything ended up working out well. All that to tell you, you got to get rid of the toxic energy. You got to get rid of the toxic people, places, and things like I talked about before. I think I did that on my wine video. It's so seriously important. It's really important. You know, right now we're dealing with a government that's falling apart, people hating one another, um, political fights. Every day we hear on the news or on social media about a new scheme or plan or fraud that's taking place, and it's overwhelming our systems. Seriously, it's overwhelming our systems. So what I did, I think it's been about 1.5 or 2 years now, I went completely off Facebook, wasn't looking at any of that garbage every day. I decided to just kind of cocoon myself. And I did something pretty severe, if you ask me. I asked God to remove anyone from my life who didn't have my back, who didn't have my greatest and highest good for me. Well, stand by, folks, because, you know, like the Bible says, we have free will. He won't involve himself in our lives unless we ask. When you ask for help, and see, I'm a strong girl, and I'm a girl who can take care of business, but I was at my wit's end, and I just thought, I'm giving this all to you. And I had never done that in my life. I said, I'm giving this all to you. You need to take care of this because I can't do it anymore. And he did. One by one by one. And then I would ask him. And, you know, the Lord talks to people in different ways. How he talks to me is in my dreams. And so when I would say, why this person? And I would be told exactly why. So if you've got the nerve to do that, if you're at a place in your life where you just need some help because things are falling apart, ask him for help. Okay, I don't want to lose my thought. Yes. So about 1.5 years ago, and this was about 6 months after I had asked, so maybe it has been about 2 years since I asked God to do that. But I experienced someone telling a lie about me to someone else, and that someone else believed it and called me a name. The me before this little cocooning process would have confronted the liar. And because this person has a history of lying, I mean, 10 years before that, they had told a real huge lie. And that person knows it. The person who believed what was spoon-fed to him was witness to that really big one. I would have confronted the liar and then confronted the person who believed it and then called me a name. But I decided to handle this way differently. I said, it's yours, God. And I go, peace out and double peace out to the one who knew better. And just step away and let the Lord handle it. And I can't tell you what the peace that came over me when I decided to handle it that way. Ask for help, folks, from the Lord, and he will give it to you. But you have to ask. It's not just going to happen. You have to get close to the Lord and then ask for the help. Okay. Oh, and another big one. And this was huge for me. I think it's really important that, and everybody is on their own journey. Everybody has their own life, and you can't tell another human being what to do because that just doesn't work. But I personally feel it's a really big deal to forgive anybody who has wronged you. Forgive them. That's for you. That's for your peace. That doesn't mean they get access again. And I can almost hear Betty right now saying to me, um, but those people are my family. And you know, if someone wants to take accountability for their actions and apologize and really makes um, some moves to change their life in a positive way, by all means, that's up to you if you want to accept that back into your life. There's a lot of people that I've forgiven, wish them well, but you don't get any more access. Access denied. So I'm saying all this today, even though I originally was addressing Betty, to let people know it's not just the food, it's not just the drink, it's not just some face cream that you're putting on your face. You've got to get rid of the toxic people in your life. It's huge because, this person that has the lying problem, that's a low vibrational entity that is attached to them. That they have allowed this low vibrational entity to attach themselves to this person. You just got to protect your energy. You have to protect your peace. You have to step away from it and just give it to God. If somebody's meant to be there, he'll make it happen. He will make it happen. God sees everything. He hears everything. He even hears every thought a human being has. So you ask for help and he can give it to you because he knows everything people do and say, even their thoughts. Imagine you already have a stressful job, and then all this garbage right now that's happening, not just in our country, but all over the world. There's wars and there's all the problems with, what's going on with cutting off the Strait of Hormuz and all these people in January, all these people with Obamacare who are going to be losing millions of people losing their health insurance. And that's separate from a stressful job, all the garbage being, downloaded on us daily by the internet and the TV. And then if you're in a toxic relationship or have a toxic friend or a toxic spouse or a toxic whoever, imagine what that's doing to your body. And people are wondering why 30 and 40-year-olds are now getting colon cancer and having diseases that normally don't happen to people until their 70s or 80s. I had to start, and I did. This I've only been doing for the last year. Every morning the first thing I did was grab my phone and start looking at, did I need to answer any messages? What's going on today in Iran or whatever. I don't do that anymore. I give myself at least 2 hours to just be having downtime, to be talking to God, to be talking to angels, to put myself in the zone where I just feel real, honest to God peace. It has changed my life. Seriously, it has changed my life. So if you're somebody who does like that kind of Zen yoga and stuff like that, more power to you. That is so important to get your body in that zone and put away the cell phone and put away, gosh, when I see little tiny kids in the grocery store with pads of all that information coming at them, it's like, it makes me so sad. We just need to get back to a place where we get back to nature and to God, seriously. That has changed my life. It has changed my life. And I can't express in words, really, the overwhelming feeling of just letting all that garbage go and letting him handle it. And that was really hard for me because I'm a girl who thinks she can get everything done and she can take care of business. Letting him handle it was the hardest thing for me to do, but the very best, hands down, the very best. So I'm going to end this, folks, with bye for now. I hope I answered all your questions, Betty. I hope you get rid of some of those stressors and toxic people, and to the best of your ability. And it'll happen over time. It has to be little by little by little. And again, folks, if you see a need, do the deed.